You tapping in real quick. Something like nothing major. Peace and blessings and all that. You know what I'm talking about? Out here moving around, man. Hey, listen, I just got done looking at these money lines again real quick. You know what I'm talking about? Man, they got the bull Kennedy and Chuck Wu sitting at a minus 800 in some places, man. Y'all gonna have to help me understand what the fuck is going on, man. You know what I'm talking about? What is it about Kennedy and Chuck Wu? What is it about Kennedy and Chuck Wu, the body of work that Kennedy and Chuck Wu has been able to produce, and most of all, the body of work that Kennedy and Chuck Wu was able to produce in his very last matchup where he fumbled the bag as a minus 700 favorite that has y'all so intrigued to run to the window and parlay this man up as a minus 550 favorite when he opened up, because that's very much what y'all did to take him from a minus 550 to a minus 670 and from a minus 670 to a minus 800. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? Listen, it's going to be a whole lot of motherfuckers mad, like there was a whole lot of motherfuckers mad last week if they're out here parlaying, Kennedy and Chuck Wu together with Farid Basharat and, moving on from there. You know what I'm talking about? These individuals are over the minus 500 money line, and they have no business being in any part of any main plays, main bets, or main parlays. You know what I'm talking about? And if they already were, like they were, not they, like Basharat, because fuck Kennedy's not anything for me, but like Basharat was for me, for some early birds, you have to readjust and move forward accordingly. You understand what I'm saying too? Because that's what I did. I'm not comfortable with anybody in my main bets, main parlays, main plays that are over the minus 500 money line in any way, shape, form, or fashion, man. But Kennedy at minus 800, Kennedy and Chuck Wu, who just fumbled the bag in his very last matchup at minus 700, y'all running to the window to parlay him up at minus 800, man. Do y'all remember what happened last week? Do y'all remember what I said last week, man? It's heavyweight MMA. There's question marks on both sides. On one side, in Robellis, you had a heavyweight who had just fumbled the bag as a significant favorite in his very last matchup. On the other side, you had Austin, who had already cashed as a significant underdog in the past. You understand what I'm saying to you? What the fuck is going on this week? The very same thing, with the exception that the fight's not the first fight of the night. That's the only box that it's not checking in the complete pass section. You understand what I'm saying to you? Everything else is exactly the same. It's heavyweight MMA. You have question marks from both sides. On one side, you have a heavyweight who's a significant favorite who just came off a loss where he fumbled the bag as a significant favorite. On the other side, you have a heavyweight who has already cashed in the past as a significant underdog, with Chris on more than multiple occasions. You understand what I'm saying to you? So many reasons to leave this fucking fight alone, man. Heavyweight MMA. Question marks on both sides. The heavyweight, who's currently the significant favorite, is coming off a loss where he fumbled the bag as a significant favorite. The heavyweight, who was a significant underdog, has already cashed multiple times in the past as a significant underdog. There's so many reasons to leave this fight alone, man. You cannot look at these money lines and say, oh, these money lines suggest that these are all day, every day. Let me go put these individuals together and work from there. Fuck that. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? Fuck that. In no way, shape, form, or fashion should Kennedy and Chuck Wu be wrapped up in anybody's main legs, main bets, or main parlays, period. And if he has already been, you've already done so, readjust, man. Readjust. I'm not saying take the other side. Just find your other most confident guys and take Basharat and Kennedy and Chuck Wu to fuck out the equation, because they don't do much anyway unless you're talking about an 8th, 9th, or 10th leg. They should not be involved unless you're talking about a haymaker. For me, they're not even involved in that, because those fights will be involved in, moving forward, they're not even involved. Basharat's not even involved in that. I'm not going to say there. Kennedy was never involved in any of my plays, but Basharat very much so was before he was over that minus 500 money line. I have readjusted and taken my most confident 6 down to my most confident 5, and honestly all the way down to my most confident 4. You understand what I'm saying to you? And those most confident 4 come together at plus 262, and that's Lee Rohn, Shara, Mikdad Beck, and Jeff. You know what I'm talking about? And while I'm still high on Mago Med, Ratchet's, you know, he's creeping up on that money line. Ratchet's getting to that, you know, dog play, you know, getting to the point where it's a dog play, you know, mandatory. As jacked as he looks too. You understand what I'm saying to you? What if he comes out there and just motherfucking gets some ridiculous ass leg kick? You know what I mean? Just rocks his motherfucking legs and chops them things down and gets some dumbass leg kick TKO inside the first couple minutes or something. Like, anything can fucking happen. And when they start creeping up to that minus 500 and over, and them dogs start looking like plus 400 and more, you gotta start considering, based on the matchup, you know, possibly rolling the dice on a dog play. You know what I mean? But my bad, you know, I kind of ran off on a rant there, you know what I mean? But that's because Kennedy and Chuck Wu at minus 800 against anybody, anywhere, in any promotion, in any reality, is just fucking ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying to you? I don't get it, man. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. Leave that shit out of your main bets, main plays, and main parlays moving forward. You know what I'm talking about? And as far as Basharat's concerned, while you know, I am high on the guy, it is solely based off of his last performance against Taylor Loplius, because I am extremely high on Taylor Loplius. Nobody else on his resume is proven or tested like that of Taylor Loplius. Clayton Rodriguez and the rest of them to be determined. And you know, it's not even an argument that Basharat, up until, I guess you could say, his last 3 fights, has just not fought any level of opposition with any, you know, any level of opposition with any legitimacy, period, in any way, shape, form, or fashion, in any promotion prior to entering the UFC. And then, like I said, his fights inside the UFC, with the exception of Taylor Loplius, are to be determined. Not that anything, you know, jumps off the page over there on Victor Hugo's resume, but when we're talking about levels of opposition, Victor hasn't been in there with Taylor Loplius, but outside of that, he's faced a slightly, you know, higher level of opposition, and for a lot longer. You know what I mean? 25-4, he's got 29 fights. Basharat is 12-0, he has 12 fights. You understand what I'm saying to you? What do you think Basharat's record's gonna look like when he has 29 fights, especially fighting at this level? I don't believe he's gonna still be in this promotion if he's still fighting. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? He's definitely not gonna be 29-0. That O is gonna go, that's inevitable. It's just about who's gonna take it from him, when's it gonna go, and is Victor Hugo the guy to be able to do it? You understand what I'm saying to you? I said it, 29 fights to 12, and it's not like those 12 have been in the UFC, so the experience side is definitely on the side of Victor. He has the experience 2 times and some change being in that cage, being in a cage, you know what I'm talking about, at the lower levels of opposition where they've both been competing at for the most part. So the experience edge, that goes to Victor, man. You know what I'm talking about? And we cannot deny that at this level of opposition that these 2 individuals have been competing against, you know, are competing at, Victor Hugo has proven to have a very legitimate takedown defense, very legitimate and very dangerous submission threat. You understand what I'm saying to you? And while I like Basharat, and I really like him based off of his body of work and his last performance to secure the victory over Taylor Loplius, if you look at that body of work, much like most of the times Basharat is in any cage, He implements an all-around body of work. What happens if he's unable to implement that wrestling and that grappling due to the takedown defense and the submission threat from Victor Hugo? Like, what if he goes in there because he doesn't like how things are going on the feet, or he just goes in there because he wants to mix in his all-around game, and when he attempts to do so, and he attempts to implement that wrestling and grappling, Victor Hugo is able to stuff them takedowns and keep this fight upright, or, God forbid, he throws Farid Basharat in a compromisable position in his own right, threatening the submission. Farid has to survive, transition, get back to his feet, and then he's a bit timid and doesn't really, he's a bit worrisome about getting entangled and engaging in those wrestling and grappling sequences with Victor Hugo due to the submission threat that he possesses. You understand what I'm saying to you? Victor is proven to be very fucking dangerous, and while both of these young men have looked very fucking well, they've done so against a certain level of opposition that is a lot lower than what's going on here in the UFC, man. For the most part, Taylor Loplius is a feather in the cap for Farid Basharat, but he did go 5 for 16 on takedowns, and that is very much so what allowed him to secure that victory. And I know one thing has nothing to do with the other, but in Victor's last showing here in the UFC, man, he made old boy go 1 for 13. You know what I mean? And if he's able to keep this fight upright by stuffing a majority, if not all, of the incoming takedown attempts, and he keeps this one on the feet, he could very well, I'm not going to say relatively easy, but maybe so, he could very well, just edge Farid out 1.5, possibly 2 to 1, 2.5 to 1 on the strikes in the volume department. You understand what I'm saying to you? So for these reasons, tread lightly, moving forward, leave both of these significant favorites out of any of your main plays, any of your main bets, and any of your main parlays. I apologize for the rant. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I'm about to fire this up. Peace and blessings.